Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Thank you to everyone who has supported my channel so far. If you like my content, please like this video, comment down below and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. In this video, I'm going to do a bit of a roundup of my January crafting. Last year, towards the end of the year, I feel like I really focused in on crocheting and did predominantly crocheting, not really doing any other crafts. And while that's not a bad thing, and the projects I was working on were projects I really wanted to work on and projects that really progressed my skills, I did miss my other crafts and wanted to make sure that this year I tried a different way to give all my crafts a go throughout the year. What I've done is I've put together a bit of a whip schedule, a table where I have different categories and each month I'm picking projects to go in those different categories. So the categories I have are crocheting, knitting, cross stitch, other crafts, miscellaneous and projects for designing. While these rules aren't strict, I did decide that for the most part I would start a project at the beginning of the month. If I finished part way through the month, I wouldn't refill that category, I would just focus on the other projects. And if I didn't finish the project in 1 month, I would carry it over to the next month. The category for designing, I mostly am going to use for designing corner to corner charts. It's something I'm really enjoying doing at the moment. However, I did feel like putting that in as a category limited me a bit. There was many times throughout January that I wanted to continue designing, but just having one project in that category for the entire month just felt a bit limiting. I feel like the designing process needs to be kept separate and a bit more free flow. So for February, I'm taking that category out of the table and I will simply work on that separately. The miscellaneous category is predominantly for if I get gifts through the year or if I find a project that's one of those I need to do this now projects. Sometimes gifts and things like that come up spontaneously, so I wanted to make sure I had the openness within my new system to be able to take on those projects as well, because last year I did a couple of gifts for people and I really enjoyed doing those. If you want to find out what I'm going to do in February, stick around to the end, but let's talk about how January's gone for me. So for January, my main crochet project was my temperature blanket. Now this here is my temperature blanket. I can't fit it all on the screen. It is just too big at this point, but I will be making a video when I finish this where you will get to see the entire project. I started this project in around February 2024 and it is for the temperatures throughout 2024. I am still going with this project even now at the end of January 2025. Throughout the year I did work on this project alongside other projects, but I kept going through times where I barely worked on it at all because there was other more exciting things to be doing. And although this project is something I really want to do and it is turning out exactly how I wanted it to turn out, doing single crochet just endlessly back and forth, even with the colour changes, I got a bit burnt out with it at times. Obviously, I wanted to make sure this was my main focus for the beginning of the year because I want to have this finished by the end of March. Let me know down in the comments below if you have done a temperature blanket and if you had the feeling of wanting to give up or burn out throughout. So as you can see here, this last month is quite blue. This is October here. I have 2 more rows of October to finish, which I will definitely get done today. And then I'm on to November and December. So the next crochet project I worked on throughout January was a design project. So this here is a corner to corner tapestry of the disability pride flag. As someone who has some disabilities, when I saw this pride flag, I was like, that is going to make a great tapestry. So I worked this up throughout the month in corner to corner stitch. I really like the way that it looks and it's not too hard. I did corner to corner stitch throughout and then I just did 2 rows of single crochet around the border. I am going to add on the top here a dowel at some point so that I can hang it, but it's got a couple of lines in it from where it's been folded up. So I want to just steam it before I do that. I have made this design into a crochet pattern, and that pattern is currently available through my Love Crafts and through my Ravelry account, Morning Moon Crafts, and should be on my Etsy soon. So if you like this and you want to work this up as well, head to one of those. The links are in the description down below and you can work this up as well. So the next craft I focused on was knitting. This year I wanted to get back into knitting again. I started knitting when I was around the age of 4. I was taught by my grandma, and I just knitted basic things throughout my childhood, like scarves and things like that, never anything major. However, I stopped knitting when I was in my teens and only picked it up again now, around 15 years later. The project I ultimately want to do is I want to knit a jumper. I would really like to be able to have a wide variety of choice of yarns to be able to do this with, so I'm testing out different yarns to see how my skin reacts to them, because I have very sensitive skin. So the project I worked up for this month was a hat. This is my hat here. It's a rib stitch hat. Getting back into knitting wasn't super difficult, but I did have to look things up. It wasn't like riding a bike, as they say, where you can just get back on and do it. I did just have to look things up and make sure that I was still doing things correctly, or that I had remembered things correctly. And I did, with this project, make some mistakes. So I first knitted up about 5 inches on this project and realised that I had made a lot of mistakes, or not realised that I had made a lot of mistakes. I knew that I had made mistakes throughout, but there just kept being more and more mistakes, to the point where I didn't want to just continue and leave those mistakes there. I was going to try and bring it back to a certain point and just start over from there, leaving only 1 or 2 mistakes. But in the end, I decided just to frog the entire thing and start over. I'm really glad that I did that, because while it is not perfect, I'm very, very happy with my attempt at rib stitch on this hat. And actually, for someone who's just getting back into knitting, I think it does look quite neat. Obviously, I had to do the decreases around the top of the hat as well, which aren't perfect but are still fairly neat, and I am overall very proud of this. When I started this hat, I knew that 1 skein wasn't going to be a lot for this hat, and I knew it'd end up being a very tiny hat. However, the purpose of this was to make a hat that was big enough that I could wear it to see how my skin tolerates this hat, and it does that. It serves the purpose that I wanted it to serve. I learned a lot from doing the project, and it's big enough for me to test on my skin. So overall, I'm very, very happy with this hat, and I'm really glad that I restarted. So the next project that I was working on was a cross stitch project. As you can see from the colours here, they are very similar to the crochet project I showed earlier, which was the Disability Pride flag. When I started working up the design for the Disability Pride flag crochet, I thought, why not do it as a cross stitch as well and just see how it turns out. This has actually been a really calm project to do. I haven't got quite as far as I would have liked to. I would have perhaps liked to have finished the colours this month, but overall it's just been a really nice project to have around in the evenings, just to pick up and just to do a couple of stitches while I'm watching some TV or something like that, and just have another project that doesn't require too much focus. So the final project I worked on this month, it was this wooden model of one of the bridges in Japan. You can see the name of it right here. So as you can probably see from the pile of little pieces here and from the railings over here, I haven't quite finished this project. I did get the majority of it done, and the little bits left are just sort of little details to add. However, this one, more than any other of these wooden projects that I've done, even from this brand, has been really, really difficult to put the pieces in. I don't know if but I've never had this issue with any of these projects before, even from this brand. What I have left to do is to make up the little boats and put the railings in. However, I don't know if you can see, but this one here is broken. You can just see the little slit here. That broke when I was trying to get this piece into it, And I did have a disaster where one of these pieces broke, it's this one here, when I was getting them out of the packet. So what I'm going to do is, rather than forcing myself to finish this within the month, I'm going to put this project aside until I can think of a better way to finish this project without breaking anything more, because I do want to finish this project and I don't want it to just be for the sake of finishing it. So I'm going to make sure that I take the time to think about how I'm going to finish it and try and see if I can come up with a method for getting the little pieces into these little boat pieces without having any more disasters or breaks. However, the bits that are in, I'm very happy with it. I obviously can't tilt it too much because it's got the spare bits on it, but overall I'm very happy with what I have done with it. So the next question is, what will my projects be for February? So with regards to crochet, I will be doing my temperature blanket, and that will be my only focus for crochet throughout the month of February. I'm hoping to at least get all the rows finished by the end of February so that I can spend March doing the final touches. For cross stitch, I'm going to continue with my disability pride flag cross stitch. I'm going to see how far I get on this, see if I can at least get the colours finished. If not, try and get some of the grey in as well, and just overall see how far I get. For my other craft project, I'm going to be doing this turtle that I have here, that is sort of a paper craft type project. So it's a really cute turtle here, and it goes together a bit like the wooden projects that I did this month, but it's made from paper. So for this month's knitting project, I'm going to make some ear warmers. I'm going to be using potentially these 3 yarns, if not maybe just 1 or 2 of them. I have this month in January been working on my skills using circular knitting needles. So I want to extend those skills a little bit further. So I want to try and learn the skill of knitting 2 or more things on a circular needle at a time. These 3 yarns here, this merino wool, this alpaca wool, and this merino cashmere blend, all have very, very similar gauges. They all require the same needle size, and they are all a very similar length. So I feel like of the yarns that I had for this project, these 3 together are the perfect ones to work up in a joint project where they go side by side. I'm not sure if I'd be able to fit 2 or 3 on my circular knitting needles. The largest size I have currently is 100 centimeters, so that might be just a bit small for 3. I don't know yet, I need to test it out. And I'm also not sure if I'll be able to handle 3 at the same time, or if I should just start with just 2. But we've got to try these things. And if it all goes wrong, I will do what I did with the hat, where I just pull it back and start over. This knitting project is about learning as much as I can about knitting and my knitting style and what I can handle. So I figured I would go big, and if it doesn't work out, I would start again. So overall, I'm really excited to get these ones started, and hopefully by the end of the month I will have at least 2, if not 3, and if it all goes too wrong, maybe even only 1 of ear warmers to show you. So that is a nice little roundup of what I've been doing in January and what I plan to do in February. If you're interested in seeing how I get on in February, come back for another roundup next month. Thank you for watching my video, and I will see you next time.